Hello and welcome. My name is Carolyn Kane. I'm the Chief Advancement Officer at the American Academy of Nursing, and I am joined by my colleague, Claire Holland, the Academy's Member Engagement Coordinator. And we are thrilled to have you join us today as we provide this technical assistance webinar to walk you through the new online application portal and provide a tutorial on how to fill out the application and also how sponsors can review and approve their statement as well. So before we get started, I just want to remind you that throughout the presentation, please enter your questions into the Q&A box. So there's a chat box and there's also a Q&A box. Please use the Q&A box throughout the webinar so that Claire and I can see your question and respond to it. So we'll do a presentation first, an overview, and then we will open it up to those questions. So I am going to go ahead and switch my slide deck out just a second. So bear with me as I pause my screen share and just bring up the Academy's website. So I'm going to go ahead and make the assumption that many of you have already been to the Academy's website, but if you haven't, the website address is aannet.org. And right on the homepage, you can click on the fellowship application banner, and that will take you to the fellowship application resource page. And you can also get to it from the About link under fellowship application. So when you click on that, it's going to bring you to our resource page. And I encourage you to take a look at the resources here. We have webinars that were recorded previously that provide a lot of great information and insights. There's also FAQs. And I also want to make sure that you know where the application guide and instructions are. So if you click on that link, that's going to bring you to the PDF, and there is a table of contents. It's a 12-page document that provides a very thorough overview of the application. So you can read about each different section, what goes into those sections, and how to complete and submit your application. And as always, you can always reach out to the Academy team. Claire is a wonderful resource if you have any questions or if you need assistance. We also have a web page for sponsors. So the sponsor information page talks about how the sponsors can prepare their statement. So this year, because we're using the online application portal rather than a fillable PDF like we've used in the past, you can actually share your sponsor statement with the applicant in whatever way you're most comfortable. You know, most people will use a Microsoft Word document so they can do track changes and things like that. Maybe you use Google Docs, or perhaps you're just sending it via email. So once you have your sponsor statement ready, the applicant will actually put that into the application on behalf of the sponsor. And we will walk you through that and show you how then you will review and sign off on your sponsor statement once the applicant has entered that in on your behalf. So I am going to go ahead and take you to the application portal. So this is where you actually create an account and log in to fill out your application. So when you click on the application portal link, it will direct you to this page. And as you can see, it looks just like the Academy's website. It has the same banner, logo, but this is where you will securely log in to access the online application. So there's important reminders on this page, such as the deadline, which is Thursday, March 10th. And we do ask that you submit by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We realize that we have applicants from all over the world in different time zones, so please do note the time zone submission date and time. And it just provides a quick highlight of the different sections. And once you click on Start Application, this is where you're either going to log into an existing application if you've already started the process, since we did open up the application earlier this month on February 1, or you're going to go ahead and create a new account. And just keep in mind, again, this is for applicants only. So only applicants need to create an account. Sponsors do not need to create an account. Instead, they get an email from the Academy where they can click on a link to access their sponsor statement to review and sign off on. So again, we're going to show you what this all looks like, but just want to make sure that you know where all of these links exist on the Academy's website and how to get there and navigate to the application. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'm going to hand it over to Claire, who's actually going to log into a test application and show you the different sections and provide some tips.
Thanks, Carolyn. Thanks for that overview and introduction. So as Carolyn mentioned, we are within the secure application portal, and this is the application once you have either logged in or registered and clicked start. So just an overview before we get into it. I'm going to go step by step as if I was an applicant and go through the application, but just so you know what's coming up, we have the application information page, the applicant statement page, the CV page, and finally the sponsor information page. So once you're ready to start your application, you will see all of the required fields that are needed to move on to the next page. And then also just quickly, the phone number and country have default of the United States, but if you are inputting your information from somewhere else, feel free to choose, whichever country and information is relevant to you. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill out and walk through the steps that you need. You will see that the email has already auto-populated from the account creation and your user profile. So I would advise to keep that same email, but feel free to change it if you prefer. The mailing address, again, I'm just choosing a drop down because I've done this before, but just include your mailing address and state. And then we're going to get into your place of employment and job title. So once you filled out your personal information, the next question is including your Professional Nursing Association affiliation. So one of the requirements as an applicant is to have a nursing affiliation, and it's either through ANA or a member of the ICN organization. So if you select ANA, the options will appear to include your ANA ID number and your state ID number if applicable to your membership. If you are an ICN member, or if you don't know what your country's ICN organization is, feel free to click on this list and you'll be able to find your organization. Once you list your organization, you will type the name in here, include your ID, and then it is required to upload a file. So you will either include an image of your membership ID or a formal letter of your membership certification. Now, for applicants that are of the Royal College of Nursing and the Nursing and Midwifery Council in the UK, that is an acceptable membership. The UK is currently not in ICN, so feel free to input that. For this example, I'm just going to go ahead and choose ANA and select my ID number. Now, in the application, you have options at the end of each page to save. So at any time, feel free to save. You'll also see if I'm on a page for a certain amount of time, it'll just automatically save your progress, but feel free to save and then you can leave the application if you're not wanting to continue. Or if you're ready to go to the next page, you can press save and next, and it will take you to the next page. So this is the applicant statement page. There are 3 questions, and each question has a text box where you can input your statement. Each question also has a word count. And so you will see each text box has, certain bolding to kind of remind you what we want your focus to be. You can view the strategic plan, any reference to the statement to help your statement. So I have a practice example just ready to go. So I have a Microsoft Word doc open, and I'm just going to paste in an example of, what you can put into the text. You can also, type in anything, and you'll see I went over the word count, and so it is not going to allow me to save. So as long as your text and statement is within the word count, you'll be able to move on. So I'm going to continue just pasting in an example of statements that you can include. Again, these are just example statements for this workspace. So you can either press save again or click save and next. Now, I've seen a few applicants that have, filled out their applicant information and then they just wanted to jump to the CV page, and you can absolutely do that. However, the applicant statement page does have required fields. And so for best practice, just so you do not run into any saving issues, if you're not ready to put in a statement, feel free to just put, any word, or, come back and edit, just something so the application feels as though you have completed the required statement. So as long as that is ready to go, we can press save and next to move on. Now we are on to the CV page. Now, with the CV template being utilized for the first time this year, we wanted to err on the side of caution and provide the most amount of space possible for applicants to include all of their relevant information that they would like. So you will see on this page, there are sections that are available. There is education history, certification, professional background, additional leadership positions, selected written work, speaking engagements, awards and honors, and finally, additional experiences that demonstrate impact. Now, you may have already seen that each text box has a word limit. Please do not feel like you need to reach the word limit. We wanted to ensure applicants who have either many different positions or long careers at various institutions were able to include all of the relevant information that they wanted. We also wanted to just provide flexibility should applicants need to include additional details that may not be in a traditional category that we have noted. So I, similar to the previous page, have an example CV up. And so I'm just going to paste in some text and kind of talk through some best practices that you can have for the application. So I've just included an example of some educational history. The first thing to note is you'll see the scroll bar has appeared. For convenience, I would advise to pull open the text box or resize it, and you can get a larger view of the text that you have inputted. And this is kind of helpful to see a little bit of, again, the larger view of what you've put in, and also what it would be like for a viewer to view your information. The few things that you're allowed to do within this text box include either bolding, or you can italicize, but it's meant to be able to paste in whatever information you would like to include in each box. So I'm going to go through just including a few more examples. So, and again, just sorry to go back, under each category, there are, text that includes what is kind of relevant and necessary. So feel free to include all of the information that you would like. But again, with reading, just essentially less is more, whatever is most pertinent and important to the reviewers, and to be able to support your application and show your impact is what we're really looking for. You can, have creative freedom if you'd like to include date, and you can use parentheses, whichever way you would like to present the information. I have found that with the new format that we have, if you are copying and pasting from a Word doc that you have had a lot of tabs included, and you have a date kind of hanging off onto the right side that oftentimes doesn't paste over as cleanly as some applicants would like. So I would advise either to transfer your dates to the left side so you can keep them aligned, or you just have to do a little bit of legwork of backspacing and spacing it in, because the tab button within this text field does not work. So it is just a multi-line text field meant to just simply copy and paste in your information, and you can continue to keep tabbing and deleting to keep your information in alignment. Now, moving on to professional background. Again, this is one of the only 2 required fields, and everything else is just optional for your convenience. But I will paste in, again, some more information, and we'll take a look at what that looks like. So again, you can resize to view the text field a little bit larger and get a better sense of what it looks like. This time I included the dates on the right side. These are all just examples. Again, this template is meant to just provide flexibility to applicants. All of our applicants are from diverse backgrounds, and however you would like to present your information is best practice for you. So again, I'm just kind of copying and pasting either line by line or by section that I have ready into the text field. Continuing on, again, all of the information that we have listed is just to kind of hone in and focus of what this category should entail. Again, we just want you include the relevant information not exceeding the past 15 years, unless it is, relevant and supports your application and your statement and doesn't go over the word count. We have selected written work. You can paste in your citations or anything in progress or anything that you'd like to include to further support your application. I'm going to just continue pasting in different examples of formatting and things that you can see. Now moving on, the additional experiences that demonstrate impact table is meant for kind of a catch-all of everything that you would like to include in your CV to further support your application. So you can do funded research, grants, policy work, community service, any tidbits of information that you wanted to include that didn't have space for earlier in the CV. So I'm just going to paste, again, another example, and this is not required. I just pulled out a different format, but I just wanted to show you how you could also include different categories. So I utilized the bold feature within this example just to kind of give the eye, so it's easier to review of seeing the different categories. So I just included some research funded. I did one tab over in Word and that carried over well, and I included some spacing. I did a couple, I broke up some lines so it's not run-on sentences. So this text box, is just meant for anything that you would like to include that you wanted to further support your application. The word count, again, is very large, so please do not feel like you need to fill it out or include a lot of information, but this is just one example. Again, you have freedom to include your information however you would like. So I am going to save and ensure that my progress has been saved, and then I'm just going to go save and next and move on to the sponsor information page. So like Carolyn mentioned, the sponsor statement is submitted by the applicant on the sponsor's behalf. And again, I'm just going to throw in some sample text so you can get an image. You're able to, on this text box, similar to your applicant statements, there isn't the formatting, so feel free to, create a paragraph if you'd like, but that does bump up the length. Now, getting into the sponsor information search field. Now we have all of the fellows that are available as sponsors, if they are in good standing or haven't already been selected by 2 applicants available. So what you will do, once you paste in the sponsor statement, you will search for your sponsor. Now the search field, we advise to search by last name. So if I'm going to type in and look for Carolyn, she's going to appear on a dropdown. I would just want to mention that if I have a sponsor who has a last name with 3 letters, it would not populate because it's a four character search field. So if I was looking for a sponsor, I could pull in Carolyn, and I see there's different options, but I'm going to choose Carolyn Kane. Now, if you have any trouble searching for your sponsor, again, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. But you will see once I've selected Carolyn and the sponsor that I would like to choose, it populates her information. And so this is an indicator of where, or excuse me, if it has been sent or not. So right now I have Carolyn's statement, sponsor statement pasted in, and then I have her information ready to go. And when you click send request, it will send an email to the sponsor to review and approve their statement. So if I click send request now, it will pop up with, are you sure you want to send the request? And when I press OK, it will take 1 moment and it has sent. So you see that this has now changed to not received, which means that Carolyn has not opened it and not signed and returned her statement approval. So we'll see later on what that looks like when she does sign it, but currently it has not been received. You also have the option to resend. Again, if your sponsor is having trouble getting it, or you just need to send them a reminder to fill it out, you can always select resend. I'm gonna go ahead and just paste in another example for sponsor 2. This is the same steps as sponsor 1. And you would again look for the sponsor you would like to select. I'm going to go ahead and select the Academy CEO, Suzanne Miyamoto. Oh gosh. Here we go. And it has populated. I'm going to go ahead and send her a request as well. Okay. And now once both your sponsor statements have been sent and you're ready to submit your portion of the application, this is for applicants. So you will review the certification and agree and confirm and give a little signature. And then once you hit submit and pay, it will submit your portion of the application. So a pop-up will appear just to confirm that, you know, once you submit, you cannot go back and change. So if you're feeling ready to submit your application, select OK. And it will take you to the confirmation page. Now on the confirmation page, you will note, and it explains that in order to pay for the application fee, you will be directed back to the Academy's main webpage, the website that Carolyn started the webinar off on. And there you will either create your profile or sign into an existing profile to securely pay and process that application fee. So this login to the application portal would be different from the Academy website's profile, unless you use the same username and password for both accounts. So once you click pay application fee, it will direct you to the Academy's website. So now that we're on the website, you see the application fee and you can select add to cart. Once the fee is in your shopping cart, you can go ahead and go into your order. So it's added 1 application fee for $350 US. I'm going to go ahead and check out. Now, this is where you would either log in to your Academy account that's associated with our webpage and Academy database, or create one if you do not have an account. Since I do have one, I'm just gonna click continue to log in. And now is just the last steps of billing information. Whichever option, we have credit and debit card, electronic check, and pay by check available to pay for the application fee. So whichever option you choose, the information that is needed will appear along with the billing address. For this example, I'm just going to go ahead and choose check for time, but again, feel free to use whichever option you prefer. Now, once you have selected and inputted your payment information, it will take you to the confirmation page. And once you place or click place order, it will process payment, and then you will get a confirmation email. So I'm going to go ahead and just place an order so you can see the final step. And it's successful. So you have successfully paid your application fee. You have submitted your portion of the application. And I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn so she can go over the sponsors experience.
Thank you, Claire. Great questions coming in. So please continue to send those, and we're trying to respond in real time, and we'll also show you with the screen as well. So as you had seen, Claire had put me in as one of her sponsors, and this is the email that you will receive, if your sponsor will receive, or for those sponsors that are on the webinar today, this is what it looks like. So it actually has the applicant's name in it. So it says Claire Holland has requested that you provide the sponsor statement. And then one important thing that I want to note is the sender email is fellowselection@aannet.org. So if you do need to add this email address to like your safe sender list, we recommend that you do that. It has been getting through to most sponsors, but if you are having any trouble, if you didn't receive the email, please let us know and we can send you the direct link, no problem. We can assist with that. So this link is where the sponsor will go. So this is unique to each sponsor, each applicant. So when I click here, it actually will open up a screen in my web browser that looks like this. So it just confirms, yep, this application is for Claire. I'm doing my sponsor statement. And then it's going to show my name. And as Claire mentioned, this is just filler text, but it will show your sponsor statement that the applicant has inputted on your behalf. And then you go ahead and type your name and sign. And keep in mind, this is an online signature, so it's not going to look as nice as it does when you're doing this on paper, but that's just, you know, sufficient if you do it with your mouse or your keypad, depending on what kind of device that you're using. And another feature here is, just like in previous applications cycles, you can view the other sponsor's statement. So I can't see it right now because Claire had put in Suzanne as our other sponsor, and she hasn't submitted it yet. So that's why it's not appearing here. But Claire's applicant statements are appearing. So just like you could with the PDF on this web page, you're able to view this statement. So not only your statement, but also the other sponsor's statement and the applicant statements. So I can go ahead and click save. And when I do that, it's going to say, take me to a confirmation page that just says, thank you. Your sponsor statement for Claire has been received. So if for some reason you needed to edit your sponsor statement, like perhaps you read through it again and thought, you know what, I want to change a sentence, you just need to reach out to the applicant. So I would reach out to Claire and say, you know what, Claire, I would like to make an edit to the sponsor statement. And if Claire hasn't submitted yet, she can go ahead and edit it for you and then resend the sponsor request. So you get another link via email to just take a look at the revised version and sign off on. Or if she's submitted, if the applicant has already submitted, we are able to release the application back to the candidate. So you would just need to, let's say you're the applicant, you submitted, but you need to make a change to the sponsor statement. As long as it's before the deadline of March 10th, Claire can release the application back to the candidate, the applicant, to be able to make those changes. And we will definitely kind of go into more detail with some of the sponsor questions that are coming in. But before I do that, I'm going to just stop sharing my screen for a moment, and I'm going to hand it back over to Claire so she can show you from the applicant's perspective. Now that a sponsor statement has been submitted on their behalf, what does that look like on from the applicant's view?
Oh, good. Sorry. Selected the wrong account. Okay, so let's get back into the application. So I am the applicant, and like Carolyn said, I have sent my request to the sponsors, and it says that it's pending. So you will see, you will go into the pending sponsor statement option on the left-hand side and click view. And then we will see that this has been updated to received. So you know that Carolyn has, done her part, reviewed her statement, and signed off on it while we're waiting for the second sponsor to do the same thing. So you can see when you sent the last email to the sponsor and if it has been received. And once both have been received, they will be noted as received, and then this portion will be gone from your application dropdown.
Perfect. Thank you, Claire. So I think one thing that I just want to mention is, what does a complete application look like? So I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen again and provide some important reminders. So the application deadline is, again, March 10th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And your application is considered complete when, one, you have completed all the required fields within the application. Both of your sponsor statements have been received. And as Claire just showed, you can track that. You can send reminder emails. And the Academy will also send reminder emails to in-progress applicants and sponsors leading up to the deadline to make sure that those items get in and just to help along with the process. And also once your payment has been received. So if you're providing payment online, like via credit card, that will instantly be updated. If you're mailing in a check, please make sure that it's postmarked by March 10th. As long as it's postmarked by March 10th, we will consider your application complete. If these three requirements aren't met, then your application will be considered incomplete. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. So I just want to emphasize again, Claire is a wonderful resource. The Academy team can help you. So reach out if you have questions so that we can, again, just provide any assistance as needed. And then one other thing that I want to note is a question that we always get is, when will decision notifications be sent? Decision notifications will be sent in early July. I know that seems like a far away time, but it does take quite a bit of review by the fellow selection committee to really carefully and thoughtfully review all the candidates and make those decisions. So just wanted to note that, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and we're going to open it up to the Q&A now. And I will just ask Claire to open back up the application, and I'm going to go ahead and read off some of the questions that were submitted. So thank you so much. We've had a lot of great questions. And I know there was several questions with the CV. So if we can jump to the CV section, Claire, I'm going to just provide some questions that came in and we can answer those. So one of the questions that came in is, do we need to include dates for when we attended institutions, or when degrees were earned, or when certifications were earned, or if they're active? And what I can go ahead and answer that question. Yes, you can do that. It's up to you. Again, this CV it's a template. So there is some flexibility, and we don't want to be 100% prescriptive in terms of what you should be putting in there. But I think, if you look at your current CV, your resume, your bio sketch, I would say you don't need to reinvent the wheel. If you have that information already, if your date of graduation is listed next to degree earned, go ahead and put that in. If you'd like. It's not required, but you certainly can put it in. And most important thing is they want to know what institutions did you earn, attend, what degrees did you earn. Another question that came in is, if you're copying and pasting, can you control line spacing? And Claire, I'll let you respond to that. I know there's limited formatting, and we understand that with the new CV template, there isn't the full-on controls that you would have like in a Microsoft Word document, but there is a little bit of flexibility. So Claire, do you want to just kind of run through what to do with if you're having trouble with spacing, or you had noted that you can't do tabs. So any tips you have for that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do understand. So essentially, if you're, say you have a little bit of, paragraph or some longer sentences, you can obviously press enter, which will jump you down to the next line. If you press shift and then enter, kind of a hard example to see, but it is a smaller, I'll try it here. It's a smaller bump. Is what I mean to say. So if you press enter, it will drop down and it'll give you that proper kind of paragraph spacing. Whereas if you press shift and then enter, it will kind of carry you on just to the next line. So that's one tip I could give you. The other one, again, in reference to the tab, a lot of people, given the formatting of their previous CV, the way that it's set up, either Microsoft Word or whatever you're using, the far right, like the alignment within a Microsoft Word document often doesn't carry over in just a multi-line text box. That's the case for, if you're pasting into any other kind of text box, it isn't able to carry the right alignment and the middle alignment and the left alignment that you previously had created in a Microsoft Word doc. So again, you just have to kind of do a little bit of finagling and legwork to make the spaces, line up the way that you want to. You can, hold down the space bar if you'd really like something to be on the right side. So, it takes a little bit of patience to work around, but just to be able to present everything that you want to include.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Claire. Another question that came up a few times was, is there a specific font, a font type or size that we should use?
Yeah, great question. So the text boxes have a default of Arial, and you can't see my other screen, but I am actually pasting in a different font, and then it automatically defaults to Arial. So you don't have to worry about font or text size. It does that for you. So that's kind of the benefit of the template again. So everyone's will be the same, and you will not be, judged on the type of text or font that you're choosing.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Claire. I think just in the interest of time, there was a couple other CV questions, but again, please reach out to Claire. We can also troubleshoot with you, hop on a screen share if we need to, if you're having issues with this section. But if we can talk a little bit more about some sponsor statement questions that came in, I think that would be helpful because we did have quite a few sponsors or sponsor type questions. So I'm going to just read off a couple of those for us to respond to. So first of all, does the sponsor have to complete their review and sign off of the statement before the March 10th deadline when the application is due?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So yes, that's correct. As I mentioned, applications are considered complete once all the required fields are completed by the applicant. Both sponsors have signed off on their statement and the payment is received. Another question that came in is, how soon will the sponsor receive the email to sign? Claire, do you want to just kind of walk through what happened? So if you
Sure.
scroll down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, since you're reviewing it from the applicant's point of view, you weren't able to see, but when I selected Caroline, and then her information populates, and I say I pasted in her statement already and clicked send request now, she would automatically get the email. So if you're communicating with your sponsor and you say, hey, I sent the request now, and they're saying, oh, I didn't get it, it is most likely not in their primary inbox or any of those troubleshooting issues. So yes, similar to the confirmation payment page and everything, they get it automatically.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Claire. And just as a reminder, if for some reason the applicant has sent the request and the sponsor isn't receiving it, please do reach out, because the Academy team can actually generate that link on demand and send it to the sponsor as needed. So it's a quick fix for us. Or maybe you got the email and then it's lost in your inbox. You have a lot of emails and you just need it kind of at the top of your inbox. We can resend that link directly to you, so no problem. Just taking a look at some of the other questions that have come in. Previously with the sponsor statement, there was a field on the PDF version of the application that asked the applicant, or I'm sorry, that asked the sponsor to indicate how long they have known the applicant and in what capacity. In 2021, the sponsor information was actually blinded at the recommendation of the Fellow Selection Review Steering Committee and approved by the Academy Board of Directors. So that question was actually removed from the application in 2021 due to the blinding. So currently the applicant only needs to put in the sponsor statement. In the statement itself, what we recommend is, do try to avoid identifying yourself. So, I wouldn't say I'm the Chief Advancement Officer at the Academy. Instead, what you might want to say is I have known this individual for over 20 years as a colleague at a large hospital system, something like that, which would be a little less identifying. So we don't verbatim ask that anymore, which you might see something like that in like an academic reference. So I hope that had answered the question. Another question that had come in was, is if we could address the quality of the statement or provide hints about how to frame the statement. And those are very good questions. And we actually held 3 webinars previously that had fellows present about this. So we'll send those links. This webinar is really more designed to be, again, just technical assistance. So the staff can kind of walk through how to fill out the fields if you're an applicant or sponsor. And thanks for Rachel to linking to the webinars that we provided that were more, provided more context about sponsor statements and basically kind of how to write and frame those. Okay, just quickly looking through a couple other questions that came in. Again, we have so many great questions. One more is, can a fellow sponsor more than one applicant in a year? Great question. Fellows can sponsor up to 2 applicants in a year. So if there's 2 applicants that you'd like to sponsor in a year, that is feasible, absolutely. And just quickly reading through the questions as we get down to our final minute here on the webinar. And again, this was recorded. We will share it and it will be posted to the Academy's website. Okay, let's just get one more question. So the sponsors do not identify their name in their statement. That is correct. So we actually, in the application, because the sponsor puts in, the applicant puts in the sponsor's name, the sponsor does not need to put that information in their statement because it's here. And then also when you review and approve the sponsor statement, you type in your name again. So that information is captured in other fields outside of the statement. And again, there is a web page specifically for sponsors on the Academy's website. So we encourage sponsors to take a look at that. And as we mentioned, the Academy team is happy to help. We're excited to have this new online application portal. And being that we just launched it on February 1, we love to hear your feedback, any questions, and we're here to help. So thank you so much for joining us today. I know that we were not able to get to all of the questions. We will follow up directly with a couple people that had very specific questions. And if you do need help, please reach out to Claire at cholland@aan.net.org, and we are here to help. Have a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much for applying and sponsoring.